Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Love all, trust a few, do wrong to no one. That's William Shakespeare. Albert Einstein said, whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. That's by Ernest Hemingway. And finally, Steve Jobs says you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, your destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. Good morning and welcome back to the Midweek Motivation right here on www.brandlive.co.za. And good morning to all you on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for following me. My name is Keenan Paulson. I'm the author of the book called How to Win Before You Begin. I'm a motivational speaker, forex trader, and entrepreneur, and it's my absolute pleasure to host this cutting-edge show every week where we focus on inspiring, motivating, and encouraging you to be, do, and have the best life you've always desired. Now, we have a jam-packed show today, and this week we're talking about building trust. I do a full leadership training on this topic, and I've done it for Standard Bank, I've done it for Nedbank for their leadership, and Stephen Covey writes in his book, The Speed of Trust, that building trust is the number one leadership competency in the world today. If you literally think about any industry, every single platform that you can imagine, is trust high or is trust low? Now, whenever I ask that question in my keynote presentations, everybody shouts at me and screams, Keenan, trust is low. So you literally, in life and in business today, you have to be able to build trust with the people in your life. So where are the trust levels in your life right now? Is trust high? Do people trust you? Are you believable? Are you trustworthy? Are you reliable? Are you dependable? Are you a person of integrity? Or are your motives questionable? Is your word true and trustworthy? Do you have a track record of promises fulfilled? Or do you have a track record of disappointments because of unkept and unfulfilled promises? Do you act with integrity? Building trust is a skill. You can actually learn it. You can excel at it. You can find out what makes trust come alive. You can understand it. You can begin to look at the behavior that promotes trust and which behaviors break trust down. We'll be exploring all this and more right here on the Midweek Motivation every single Wednesday at 10 o'clock. You're listening to brandlive.co.za. After the break, we're going to get into building trust with the people in your life. Thanks for listening.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Brand Live.
No doubt. The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
Brandlive.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it.
You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they settle, make a baby.
Brandlive.co.za. Brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back to the Midweek Motivation right here on brandlive.co.za. Today we're speaking all about how to build trust with those people in your lives. You can build trust with just about anyone and everyone. And I did some research. The human race has been around for 200 million years. Now, it's not because we're the fastest species alive, or because we're the strongest, or because, we don't have some protective outer shell. If you look at your skin, it's pretty easy to penetrate that with a spear or a bullet or whatever it may be. So what has caused us to survive as a species for 200 million years? Consider this. We've survived predators in prehistoric times. We've survived natural disasters like famines and floods and wars, tyranny, genocide in more recent years because of one ability. And I'd like to share this ability with you. It is the ability to build communities, to build and function and thrive in communities. This is the one thing that separates us from all other species. This is our advantage. This is our strength. And it will continue to be the trait that separates those that thrive from those who fail. The ability to build a community. Now, if building community is our greatest ability, and it is, then we must realize that we cannot build great communities without developing trust. It's almost as if trust is the glue that keeps our communities together. The skill of building trust is hardwired into our makeup, and we operate according to these laws of trust, whether we do so consciously or unconsciously. When trust is present, we find productive, peaceful, and pleasant communities. And in the absence of trust, people feel threatened, they feel reluctant, and they feel anxious. Just think about the community you're living in. Think about the community environment you're working in. Now, when I say the word community, I mean company. I mean network of people you belong to. Is trust high or is trust low? Trust is literally the most valuable commodity in your life. So let's define trust for a second. What is trust? And a simple working definition is the confidence or belief that one person has in another. Or to define it in its opposite, trust is the suspicion, or trust or distrust is the suspicion of a person or an organization. So do you inspire confidence in other people, or do you inspire suspicion? Now, I know that we all want to be people who are high in trust, and at times when we speak about trust, it may seem as a soft, fluffy virtue. It usually falls in the category with warm and fuzzy virtues of love and kindness and so on. But trust is actually a hard-edged virtue that has economic consequences. Trust is an economic driver, people, both in macro and microeconomics. Trust is not only a social virtue, as is commonly believed, but it also has economic consequence. That means it's a must-have if we want to grow financially. And research shows that people buy from people who they trust. Think about it. Who do you go and service your vehicle at? You go and service it at someone who you trust. Who do you go to the doctor? Or where do you go when you're ill? To a doctor. Who you trust, right? Which schools have you sent your kids to? Schools who you trust with their education. Now, Paul Zak, a neuroeconomist from Claremont Graduate University, reports that nations who have high levels of trust among the people also report to have higher GDP. Man, more trust equals more money. Less trust equals less money, even on a national level. Think about us nationally as South Africans. Where do we lie on that scale? Do we trust each other? Do we trust government? Do we trust companies, organizations out there? Not a chance. We approach relationships in the workplace and in society almost from a position of distrust. Man, I'm waiting for someone to stab me in the back. I'm waiting for someone to bring corruption to the table. Isn't it time that we change this? How are we going to change it? We're going to change it by starting with the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. How do we begin to be people with trust? Now, I've got 5 levels of trust for you. Let's just breeze over them really quickly. It's going to help build some context for where we're going in the show today. Self-trust. Core value that moves us on this level is credibility. Do I trust myself? Do you trust yourself, people? Do I give others a person that they can trust? Credibility, right? That's on the self-trust level. Then the second sphere outside of yourself is relational trust. The core value on this level is behavior. And the question we're asking here is, do I behave in a way that allows others to trust me? Right? Outside of relationships, what do we begin forming? We begin forming organizations. And on the organizational level, we're asking the question, does this company, does this organization, does this network reflect its goals and its values? The core value here is alignment. Are we aligned to our goals, and do we demonstrate that in our behavior? Right? Outside of organizational trust is market trust. The core value on this level is reputation. So amongst everybody who does what you do, are you giving your customer a strong customer experience that builds a reputation with your brand? Are you building strong market trust? Remember, the core value on this level is reputation. The next level is societal trust, and it's the biggest level that there is. Societal trust, the core value on this level is contribution. Do I live in a way that is serving of the greater good for society? And I mean, we can just think about the leadership in various organizations right now that have come into question. And the question really is, Have you been contributing or have you been taking from us? Is there contribution or is there corruption? When there's corruption, trust is low. When there's contribution, trust is high. I think about, a post that I've seen on Facebook of one of the ministers, Kauda Asmal. And he was actually sitting in the economy class, flying with your mere mortals, as it were. Man, that built huge trust for Kauda Asmal. Why? Because he showed himself to be part of the contributing economy, not part of the economy who's involved in corruption. Right, so we're going to be speaking about credibility coming up next, because credibility will always determine the level of trust that you have in your life. Right after the break, we're going to be speaking about... Let's just do that line again, Handipe. Okay. Right after the break, we're going to be speaking about credibility. Credibility in building trust in your societies, in your companies, in your networks, in your families, in your relationships. Credibility. That's coming up right after the break. This is the Midweek Motivation right here on brandlive.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastownmedia.co.za.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat. brandlive.co.za.
Well, welcome back to the Midweek Motivation. If you've just joined us, we're speaking about building trust, and we're about to go deeper, because trust will always be determined by a combination of your character, your competence, and your credibility. Now, when we speak about credibility, we're asking the question, how believable are you? What makes you credible in order to build trust? And I think about friends of mine who went skydiving for my friend Judy's birthday. And skydiving involves you actually strapping yourself to the skydiving instructor and then jumping out of a plane together. Now, why on earth would I strap myself to someone and then jump out of a plane with them? There has to be some sort of credibility. How believable are you, Mr. Skydiving Instructor? Have you got a skydiving qualification? How many times have you done this? We're talking about credibility. How credible are you? Can I trust you with my life to jump out of a plane with you? Now, I'm making an example here, but it's literally relevant across the board, right? One way of knowing whether someone can trust you is to review your credibility. Now, credibility is broken down into the following areas. Your integrity, all right? We're going to visit what integrity is. Your intent, your capabilities, and finally, your results. Those four elements again: integrity, intent, capabilities, and results. These four elements combine to form what we call your credibility. Now, building any one of these areas will certainly strengthen your credibility and inevitably build trust in those relationships. All right? Moreover, they all coexist together. They work with one another. You can't be a person of integrity without having intent. And if you have the right results, you have the right capabilities, and you're a person of integrity, that all plays a part in your credibility, right? So let's talk about integrity. Integrity is keeping the commitments you make. Do you walk the talk, or do you just talk the talk? There's a difference between people who talk and people who actually act, and people who walk the talk, right? Do you keep the promises you make? That's a simple question. You want to skyrocket your trust in your relationships? Start keeping promises. Or do you leave people hanging? Are you reliable? I mean, what kind of person do you show up in the world as? Do you show up as somebody who is reliable and trustworthy? If I say to you, hey man, I'm going to do this for you, can people count on your word? That is integrity. Integrity comes from the word integrate. And I'd like to say, if you want to build your integrity, then begin to integrate your words and integrate your activity as well, your actions. Let's look at intent. Intent is the reason why you do what you do. Now, if you were listening earlier on, I was speaking about contribution versus corruption. That speaks very strongly to intention or your intent. Are you serving others in what you do, or are you only serving yourself? Is your activity mutually beneficial for everybody, or are you the only person benefiting? It makes you look so suspicious when you're the only person benefiting, guys. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not. Let me be the first one to tell you if you're not aware. It's your intention matters. Your motives matter, guys. Let's be people who are in it for the mutual benefit of others as well. It also works the opposite way. When you're in it for yourself, trust goes down and people are just not going to be looking to you and relying upon you at all. Let's talk about capabilities. The third part of credibility, capabilities. Now, capabilities are your talents, your knowledge, your skill, your abilities. Are you staying relevant by always developing your knowledge and your skill? Look around in your workplace. Look at those people who are constantly improving their knowledge and their skill and their abilities. They're being trusted with more. Now, when you're trusted with little, you can be trusted with much. You know that, right? It's not only exclusive to academics, guys. Capabilities, talents, knowledge, and skill. We're not only talking about academics. We're also talking about the experiences you've had. It's difficult to trust someone who hasn't been through a particular experience. They don't have the knowledge, right? It's difficult to jump out of a plane with an instructor who's never jumped out of a plane. That's what we're getting at. And finally, results. These are the representations of the projections people make about your future performance based on what you were able to achieve in the past. How many times have you jumped out of a plane, Mr. Skydiving Instructor? Oh, I've jumped out 11 times. Okay, but my buddy over here has jumped out 100 times. Who's got better results? The guy with 100 jumps under his belt, right? That's what he's known for. He's known to jump out of planes. Has anyone died on your watch, Mr. Skydiving Instructor? Not a single person has died. Man, what a great result. You can strap yourself to me. I'll jump out of a plane with you. Your results are a strong indicator of what you can be trusted to do. Now, Stephen Covey writes that we cannot talk our way out of a problem we've behaved our way into. After the break, I've got 13 behaviors that will allow us to build trust. 13 behaviors that we're gonna literally look at these behaviors. You've got behaviors that build trust. We've got behaviors that break trust down, and then I've also included counterfeit behaviors that seem to build trust, but they actually break trust down. All that and more after the break. This is the Midweek Motivation.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za, an industry first in the world of internet radio. Not only are we an internet radio station, we are an internet radio platform for your brand. So why not expose your brand to potentially thousands of listeners and improve your customer relationships and brand equity with podcasts and live broadcasts? Be sure to check brandlive.co.za for more information. brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of internet radio.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastdownmedia.co.za.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back, guys. We're speaking about building trust in all your relationships. Now, in the relational level of trust, if you were listening earlier on, we had self-trust, and then the next level was relational trust. That's other people trusting you. How do they make that decision whether to trust you or not? Guess what, guys? It comes through in your behaviors, the behaviors that you are exuding, if that's the correct word. It comes through in your behaviors. I've got 13 behaviors for you. 13 behaviors that build trust, 13 behaviors that break trust down, and then I've also included, for your benefit, 13 counterfeit behaviors that seem to build trust, but in actual fact, they break trust down. So let's get into it, right? Behavior number 1, talk straight. What do I mean by talk straight? Tell the truth. Be honest. Now, I'm not speaking about telling the truth in a way where you're just breaking people down and telling them exactly what you think of them. I'm speaking about being honest in your words. Don't oversell something. Don't overpromise. That's the behavior that will actually break trust down. Lying, right? Every single time you tell the truth and you show up in the world in an honest way, you begin to build trust. When you lie, you break trust down. What's the counterfeit behavior here, guys? The counterfeit behavior is twisting the truth or spinning a story. And man, I think we all know someone who spins stories like no one's business. Man, you're breaking your trust down when you start spinning stories. Just show up in the world in an honest way, tell the truth, and let people know exactly where they stand with you in a respectful manner. And that's behavior number 2, showing respect. Pleases and thank yous and excuse me's and may I say this and may I say that. Have manners. Hey, guys, how about just showing respect to one another, showing each other that we value each other? What's the distrusting behavior? When we disrespect somebody. Man, it's breaking your trust down every single time you show disrespect. Not only are you breaking trust down with those people who you disrespect, but everybody who's watching you and witnessing you being disrespectful, your trust is going down in their eyes as well. What's the counterfeit behavior on this level, guys? Showing partiality, respecting some people and not respecting others. You respect the CEO, but when it comes to the janitor, you have no respect for them. Or you only respect people who you can get something from, but those people who need something from you, you don't show respect to them. If this is you, change your behavior, change the respect that you show others. Behavior number 3. Great transparency. Man, I did a leadership course for Standard Bank and for Nedbank, and great transparency came through as one of the things that you could really change if you're a leader of an organization. What's the distrusting behavior? Hiding or concealing matters. Oh my goodness. Now, I understand that transparency can only go to a certain point. You're only allowed to disclose certain things. But when you show transparency, people don't feel like you're hiding anything from them. When you hide something from them, it's like a trigger goes off in their subconscious or unconscious mind, like, hey, watch out for person A. It feels like they're hiding something. And isn't that true for us? It's almost as if we can sense when someone's hiding something. What's the counterfeit behavior on this one? It's pretending or having a hidden agenda. So I'm speaking to you with one thing in mind, but I know that something else is also happening in the background that can be affected. Guys, it's breaking trust down. Okay. Let's build trust through behavior number 4, restitution, righting your wrongs. If you've done something that has caused harm to someone, yes, you can be remorseful and you can you can apologize. But you want to build trust in that relationship, man, you can go a step further by doing the right thing and by showing restitution. What breaks trust down? Denying or justifying your wrongs. Yes, I know I did it wrong, but oh man, are you trying to justify what you just did? Don't do that. Show restitution, guys. What's the counterfeit behavior? Covering it up, hiding it. Oh, man, no. Nothing happened. Oh, man, we know something happened. Everybody knows. Don't cover the wrong. Expose it and then bring restitution, right? Behavior number 5, show loyalty with your words. What do I mean by showing loyalty with your words? When you're in someone's company and someone else is not there, person A and B is there, but person C is not there. When they start to speak about person C, show loyalty with your words. Never ever talk badly about someone behind their back, right? That's called bad mouthing people. That's how you begin to break trust down in your relationships. Because we're all asking the question, if you are saying this, if you're bad mouthing someone in our company, then when we're not in your presence, you're probably bad mouthing us too. That's what we're all thinking. Counterfeit behavior concerning loyalty with words. You sweet talk people to their face, but the minute they turn their back, you're backbiting and you're bad mouthing them. That's behavior number 5. Building trust. Remember, we were speaking about credibility. Behavior number 6 is deliver results. Now, if you've made a promise, deliver the result on that promise. I promise you that by 6 o'clock, you will have your report. Man, send the report at 5:45. Deliver on your results. The distrusting behavior is, it's 7 o'clock. Where's the report? You haven't delivered. You failed to deliver. You're breaking trust down. Or what's the counterfeit behavior? 6 o'clock comes, 6 o'clock goes, 6:30 comes, and here's an email saying, oh, I got so busy. I'm doing your report. I'm doing your report. Don't worry about it. I'm on it. You failed to deliver results, but you're now delivering activity. It's counterfeit, guys. It's breaking trust down. Behavior number 7, Constant improvement. It's difficult to not trust somebody who's constantly improving. If you're better today than you were last week, it's difficult for people not to trust you. It's going to be building trust in your relationships if you constantly improve. Show improvement, guys. What's the distrusting behavior? You're just getting worse and worse. You came late for last week's meeting, you're even later today. Next week, we're not even expecting you to be late. You're going to be ultra late, right? You're continuing to get worse. That's how you break trust down. And then, what's the counterfeit behavior? You act like you're learning, you pretend to be learning, but you're actually showing no improvement. Behavior number 7, you want to build trust. Confront your problems head on. Confront problems head on. This goes for organizations, it goes for interpersonal communication, it goes for just about everything. Confront your problems head on. You want to break trust down, ignore the problem. Business leader, you want to break trust down, ignore the problem. Everybody knows what the problems are. How about confronting it head on? The counterfeit behavior on this level is acknowledging the problem, but you do nothing to fix it. Oh man, isn't that frustrating for everybody involved? The problem still exists. So guys, confront your problems head on. Behavior number 8. What are we on? I think we're on behavior number 8. How about we clarify expectations? That builds trust, man. When people know where they stand with you, you've clarified what you expect with them. And this goes hand in hand with blind trust, which is something I would never encourage you to do, is just extend trust to everybody. When you're extending trust, tell people why you're trusting them and what you're expecting from them. Clarify your expectations. You want to break trust down? Leave expectations undefined. Leave it open-ended. Just leave it completely undefined. No one knows what we're really expecting, but okay, we're doing this thing. That's breaking trust down, guys. You cannot be trusted if you continually leave expectations undefined. What's the counterfeit behavior? Shifting the goalposts. Man, it is so draining when we shift the goalposts. Man, we've achieved level 1. Oh guys, but level 1's no longer good enough. We need to be at level 2. How about celebrating level 1 and then recalibrating, reclarifying expectations for level 2? That's the way to build trust within your teams. Behavior number 9, take responsibility. Take responsibility. The buck has to stop somewhere. Why not let it stop with you? That's what shows people that you can be someone who they can rely on. Take responsibility. Of course, breaking trust down would be not taking any responsibility. How about the counterfeit behavior on this one? Blaming others. Man, it seems like it's productive to blame someone else. But in everybody else's mind, when you start pointing the finger around, we all know that you can't be trusted. Next behavior, listening to understand. Man, in every single conversation you have, how about listening to understand? What breaks trust down? When you listen or when you don't listen at all, right? Oh man, we can't trust people who don't listen to us. What's the counterfeit behavior? Pretending to listen only to respond. You're not interested in what the person is saying to you. You're only interested in what you're going to say back to them. That's breaking trust down. It's counterfeit, guys. It's a fake. All right? Listen to understand. Next behavior. I've lost count. There's 13 of them, guys. So this must be behavior number 12, right? Keep your commitments. Keep your commitments. If you said you'll be there, be there. If you said you'll help out, help out. If you've said, this is what I'm going to do for you, then do it. Keep your commitments. That's a sure way to build trust. How you want to break trust down? Break your commitments. What's the counterfeit behavior? Over-promising and under-delivering. Final behavior to build trust is actually to extend it. You want to build trust with people? Extend it. You want to break trust down? Withhold your trust. And here's the counterfeit behavior. You pretend to trust people, but then you micromanage them. Oh, that's going to definitely break trust down. Now, in closing, guys, I didn't want to give you all that information without giving you this. This is literally, the caveat for me. If you've lost someone's trust, how do you begin to regain that? I mean, I'm certain that we've all had our trust broken at some stage in our personal and our professional lives, and it's not easy to deal with because of the emotional impacts it has on us. It's even more difficult when we were the ones to break someone else's trust. So the question remains, how do we regain trust when it's been lost or broken? Is it even possible to regain trust? Some people come to the table and say, once you've broken my trust, once, that's it. I'm here to tell you, don't worry, you can regain and rebuild trust. How do you do that, Keenan? Right? I go back to Stephen Covey's quote, you cannot talk your way out of something you've behaved your way into, right? So the first thing, there's only 2 steps to regaining people's trust, guys. Number 1, acknowledge that you've made an error in behavior. Don't hide it, don't cover it up, don't ignore it. Confront it head on by talking straight and by taking responsibility, right? That's step number 1. You must acknowledge and own the mistake you've made. And then number 2, begin immediately correcting the wrong behavior by behaving in the way that builds trust. And I gave you 13 ways to build trust. Show loyalty with your words. Don't listen to respond. Listen to understand. And make commitments and keep them. That's the sure way to begin to rebuild the trust that you've lost. It won't be instantaneous, guys. It's not going to happen in the blink of an eye. But you're going to rebuild trust. You're going to get back on track, and you're going to build a track record to show people that you can be trusted, that you are reliable, and that they should place their trust in you. This is the Midweek Motivation. It's been absolutely wonderful spending time with you. I trust that this has been valuable. See you guys next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m. right here on www.brandlive.co.za. Thank you so much for listening.